I want to discuss the realities of buying and selling a car and bring a trailer. There's a lot of gaps, I think, between what you assume happens and what actually happens. I will say, as I kick this off, that some of these have changed. I've done some research to understand what it looks like today. It's been a couple years since I've done it. Ultimately, the platform is designed to get you to pay more for cars. First, what we'll dive into is auctions and why they ultimately get you to pay more for a car than you might otherwise. The psychology behind auctions is pretty straightforward. It's emotional. There's a social aspect to it, especially when it's online. There's anchoring, which is where you start small. There's no risk in throwing a little bit out there. At first, it feels very reasonable, and now you're in. Starting is the hardest part, so they got you. Then there's social proof. Other people are bidding on the car, you feel good, other people want your car. Lovely. Nothing feels better than the vindication of other people wanting the same thing as you. The clock starts ticking. There's FOMO. You're getting emails. You're thinking, oh man, a couple more dollars. I could win this car. Comments are flying. Then there's the lottery effect, as I like to call it. It's the pre-ownership, and you're already living out your life with this new car. You mentally own the car before you win, much in the same way that when you buy a lottery ticket, you probably mentally spend the money before you get it. You're thinking about, I'm going to take this car here. I'm going to take this car here. Think of the trips. Think of whatever it is. But you're playing through it in your head. You're selling yourself. You don't even need the platform at this point. There's a reason that auctions call it winning and not buying. You're winning the auction. You're not buying the car. I think all these reasons ultimately lend to people sometimes oversharing and sometimes overpaying. Now look, ultimately, if you get the perfect car that's perfect for you, I've tried to save a few $1,000s in the past on buying used cars or honestly anything, and you end up paying for it in the long run. So if there's the right car at the right time and you're the right person, buy the car, and if it costs you a couple grand extra, just know that trying to shop a cheaper option probably would have cost you more in the long run. It first started on Bring a Trailer. I bid on cars without a reserve. It felt low risk, it felt free, and I thought this time it's going to be different. I'm going to get a steal. You're not. I didn't. I bought an E46 M3. And for those who aren't BMW nerds, it's in mid 2000s, stretches a little bit there, BMW M3. It's an amazing car. When I was in high school, it was the M3. And so I think to me, it was kind of the pinnacle. And then YouTube would suggest that it's wonderful. I knew it had to be some version of blue. I also knew I wanted it to be manual. I didn't have a bunch of other things, but I knew SMG was not really my thing. It's not PDK. So I went dark blue. I'm drawing a blank on the name. I'll put it somewhere here. But it's important to note that I started bidding on these cars with no reserve, and I thought, I've gotten started. There's no risk here. I'll dip my toe. Maybe I'll get a steal. Then I started bidding on cars with reserves. And before you know it, I won a car. Notice I said won. I think this is where it got interesting for me. After you purchase it, I expect to be launched into a platform to facilitate this deal because the experience is hyper engineered as it relates to actually buying the car in the auction site. And then it basically gave me their phone number and let us work it out like adults, which makes sense. You are adults, but there's no real timeline. You both just say, okay, you agreed to buy this car. I have the car. Let's do this. At the time, this was only a couple of years ago, there was no escrow account. An escrow account is where you put money into it and neither of you can access it until certain things are met, right? So this is typically how you buy a house. You put the down payment in an escrow account. At a time when certain criteria are met, the escrow account becomes available and the seller can take it out. And so at the time, that didn't exist. And so the buyer said to me, we want to wire me a bunch of money. And I said, do you want to ship me a car? There was a little bit of a stalemate. We finally did come to a working agreement. And I do understand now Bring a Trailer does have an escrow account. And so does Cars and Bids. So good on them. At the time, they didn't. I think today they charge $99 a person to leverage the escrow account. Money well spent so you don't have to stress about wiring someone 20, 30, 50. Some of these people, it's millions of dollars. Mine was not millions of dollars. But I will say it makes it a little anticlimactic. You've just left this amazing experience where you're bidding, you feel like you won, people are congratulating you in the comments on buying a car, and then you're given a seller's phone number. The seller was nice enough, he actually put an air tag in the car when he finally agreed to ship the car for me. I unfortunately couldn't get access to said air tag, so I think I just had to text the guy every sometimes 6 hours, mostly every day or two to check on the status. I will say the one thing too that Bring a Trailer did facilitate was the shipping. And if you know automotive shipping in North America, it's the wild, wild west. People shipping cars, I don't know why it's the people it is. And there's some lovely people, I'm sure, who ship cars, but it's a ragtag crew. And so the driver told me times he thought he would be there. I had the air tag, didn't seem likely. It wasn't likely, did not get the car when I expected. He then did show up. I was prepared to tip him. He got the car off. He was nice enough. I have videos of the car. The car arriving was awesome. All right, here it is. Drop-off day. I'm pumped. Even though you immediately see things you did not see in photos, you're guaranteed. It's also on a carrier, so I had a perfect look at the underside, which sometimes you don't want to see right away. I did tip him. Apparently not enough. I don't know what he was expecting, but he hung around a little bit. He's at my house. Enough to just make me a bit uncomfortable, and I think he knew that. Ultimately, I did reach out to Bring a Trailer, and they ended refunding me a little bit of the shipping, so more power to them. This is not a critique of Bring a Trailer. It's just my experience. Bring a Trailer is a wonderful service. Cars and Bids is a wonderful service. Car auction sites are wonderful services. Love them. They present cars in amazing ways, and they create a forum for really wonderful transaction. Fast forward some time later, I went to sell the M3. I thought, I'll sell it on Bring a Trailer. First, when you go to list your car on Bring a Trailer, there's the discussion of the copy, the ad itself. And you want it to be very specific. There's things that you think are unique about your car as compared to everyone else's. And the individual writing the copy wants to make it pretty generic and wants to tell people that it has automatic windows. I don't know why. I also don't know if they made manual windows, but it doesn't matter. I think it's a funny back and forth. It's you trying to sneak in as much interesting facts as you can about your car while they kind of fight you tooth and nail. And then you'll notice the first comment is usually all the interesting stuff about the car it doesn't say. You care about when it's posted, but you have very little control over it, right? You might start this entire sales process on June 1st, but for whatever reason, copy, going back and forth, agreements, scheduling, you don't want too many E46 M3s for sale at the same time, certainly not like two of the same color. They could hold off, they could speed it up. Yours could end on a Monday or yours could end on a Saturday. You probably have strong feelings about what's a better outcome for you. It's not necessarily going to align with when that car gets posted. Then my feeling was the car was up there and I was naked. I was just left exposed for people to judge my car however they saw fit. People think it's easier to sell the car. I felt like it was way easier to buy the car. The buyer has the power. I can choose when to bid or when not to bid. I can ask whatever questions I want. As the seller, you're on defense. You have to succumb to whatever anyone writes in the comments, more on that. And yeah, you're getting judged about your decisions on modifications, if that's your thing. It's not mine. Maybe your photos stink, and they're gonna ask for videos of things that you did not prepare for and don't feel like taking. And so on the topic of people asking you things in the comments, I had a gentleman ask to come see the car. He was local, and I explained to him that I was hoping not to show the car in person. That was why I was on the auction site. I was trying to make this an easier sell than showing people week after week. So I did some quick looking through his posts, and he had asked to see other cars in the area that it seemed pretty clear he had no intention of buying. They were, generally speaking, kind of all over the place, right? Like it's like a pickup truck, it's like a pickup truck and an SUV, and then a new car, and then an old car. And I don't think he'd ever purchased anything on the site. And so I didn't want to just entertain this gentleman. He sort of kind of threatens me that he will tell people that I didn't let him see the car and that would look poorly. And he's right. It would look bad in the auction. It would probably look like I was hiding something, which I wasn't. I just didn't want to entertain people on the internet. And I think that's some of this. You think the internet is full of numbnuts, you might be strong-armed into entertaining one of them. After my auction goes through, I entertain a lot of questions. I create videos. I try to be as accommodating as possible. I don't reach reserve. That's okay. That happens. I did post it for more than I bought it for, so that's fair. When it doesn't meet reserve, it's anticlimactic. Now, you almost feel like you got a mark against you, which isn't fair, right? Could have been a bad day. whatever it happens to be. The guy at the end does post and say, hey, glad this didn't meet reserve. This guy wouldn't let me come look at the car in person, kind of questioning the integrity of my post or how I was presenting the car. Didn't feel great, but hey, thanks, guy. If you bought or sold a car on that, especially in the next 2 years, I'd love to hear your experience. I'm sure they've improved some of it, but the inner workings of it, it's fascinating. I think I'm going to go start a Bat Buyers Anonymous. I think it'd be packed. All right, over and out. That's my take on Bring a Trailer. After you hear all this, you're still going to go in there. You're still going to buy and bid on a car. You should. They're lovely cars. Cars are wonderful. They do an awesome service. Cars and Bids as well. I haven't used that one, but I'm sure I will one day because I like to win. Next time, maybe I'll talk about the actual ownership experience of an E46 M3 and the cost of owning your dream car. It can be excessive. All right. Over and out, everybody. Good to see you. Over and out.